Hi, friends, and welcome. My name is Courtney, and I am the owner of Jane and Thunder. And I'm also a life coach and helping moms to build small businesses of their dreams. So, what I thought would be really fun, it was actually probably about a year ago. That's how this all started. A year ago, I put out a feeler on Instagram, and I was like, hey, does anyone want to do like a small business little seminar? Like, can I just teach people how to do the things that I've had to learn how to do that I wish I had someone to teach me how to do? And the response was quite good. As far as, yes, like I need help with branding, I need help with how do I know how to price my stuff. Pricing is such a great topic for women. We really, really struggle with it. I'll get into that more later. And so it's taken me this long to finally do it. So it's just really exciting that we are here and that you guys are here, and whoever sees this video not live as well. I hope that the information is super helpful and can just really encourage you along in your journey of entrepreneurship. Did I even say that right? Should unmute everybody. Entrepreneurship. Probably not, but hopefully I was close. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna share my screen for a little bit because I made a little slide where we can talk about certain subjects, which is fun. Yay! Okay. Also, too, what would be fantastic, as you can see, there is a section for chat. If you would love to have a conversation within the chat, make sure it's to everyone so that you can see each other. You can say, hey, introduce yourself. So what I'm sharing tonight are a shorter version of 3 of the courses within the Mom Boss course. So oh my goodness, what are they called? Not the courses, but each week by week, we deal with a different subject. So I'm going to share 3 of those with you in a shorter, condensed, straight to the point fashion. All right, so hey, it's me, Courtney. These are my 3 kids. A little short story about how I started. I actually was in the corporate world for quite some time. True story is that I used to skip high school all the time to actually work instead. And I never told anybody my age, and they never knew that I was a high school student working full time at such positions. So because of that, I was able to get some really great sales management jobs working across North America from a really young age, but nobody knew. My secret. And from there, having such a background in like hiring and helping developing businesses and really flipping them, I used to go around North America and flip a certain retail store that were not doing so well and make them profit. So I loved doing that. And it was when I was 21, I was able to buy my first house, which was really exciting. And shortly after that, got married, had my babies, and it was when I was on mat leave that it kind of just didn't make sense anymore to go back to work. So we were kind of having that conversation. And then what actually happened was, due to allergies, I started my own brand, Jane and Thunder, unintentionally. And I actually used to tell people all the time when I was on mat leave and before, people would ask me, so Courtney, what are you going to do next? Like, are you going to do this forever? Are you going to work for this company forever? And I used to tell people, I don't know, but I think I'm going to start my own business. I just have no idea what it's going to be. And I truly had no idea, but I just knew that it was something I wanted to do and something that just felt right and that was going to happen in the future. So it wasn't until I was on mat leave with my first son, Elijah, that I realized I wasn't able to find any body care products for my tummy as it was growing that was allergen free. I had a anaphylactic soy allergy and there was nothing. So I literally had to start making everything from scratch. Well, word got out And the next thing I knew, I actually had strangers showing up at my door asking to buy nut-free eczema creams. And I hear you have this that's safe for kids. And I'm like, who are you? How did you find me? This is all true story. And it would be like a friend of a friend told them where I lived, stuff like that. And I'm like, well, I'm not selling the product, but here's like a little David's tea container sample of it and enjoy. So anyways, that happened a few times to where I was like, Danny, I think I need to properly package this because I can't be handing things out in Ziploc bags and little David's tea containers. Like, that's just not gonna do. So slowly, I took a whole year to brand and create Jane and Thunder. And this is the whole course line. The Mom Boss course is the whole course for how I did that. But what we're gonna go over next is branding. Pretty much why I say branding is everything is because, oh man, so many times you're literally just, you can see it with other companies, like you are just selling the idea of something, the pizzazz of it. You know, buy these sunglasses and you'll feel like you're at the beach with cool breezes and people will think you're cool and you'll look like a celebrity, right? I'm just gonna make sure these people are on. Okay, great. Oh, I went too far ahead. Hold on. So branding is such a huge, oh, I'm going the wrong way. Here we go. It's such a huge part of what your brand is. People fall in love with the idea, the brand, what you stand for, and really having that concise look throughout your branding. So we're gonna go through that. We're also gonna go through budget and money. I think this is one of the most important conversations, especially for women, because men don't deal with a lot of the same things psychologically that we do when it comes to money. Super interesting. And niche marketing, how to find your market, what sets you apart, and what makes you special, really kind of the way to sell and who to sell to be successful. Okay, so here is branding. All right. So one of the best things here, I'm actually gonna come back on screen. And here it is. Bear with me. Perfect. Were you guys able to see everything okay and clearly? Like thumbs up? Awesome. Okay, great. I hear your chat. You're just putting your daughter to bed. That's perfect. So when it comes to branding, this is something I didn't know. And it was later that I found it out. Something I am not gifted at and I really have no idea is about really anything to use the computer. So I went to an art school and I can happily, very fantastically draw out everything that I want, that I envision. I'm super envisionary. So if I see something, like I could see what I wanted Jane and Thunder brand to be. Also, Jane and Thunder has a lot of meaning. My middle name is Jane, my daughter's middle name is Jane, my Nana's middle name is Jane, and then her grandmother's middle name is Jane, so it's been passed down through lineage. And then Thunder is the middle name of my firstborn, Elijah. So mommy and baby. And I could see in my head what I wanted my brand to look like. So I was able to draw it, but I could not transition that to the computer, to graphic design. Just had no idea. That was super hard for me. So I knew when it came to branding, here now I'm just gonna share again, that I was gonna need some extra help. What I found out was, after getting extra help, is an amazing tool for you is Canva. Now, if you're already using Canva, or if you know what it is an app. It is how I made everything that you see. It's how I put together like this little PowerPoint. In art school, they did not teach us how to use PowerPoints or Excel or spreadsheets or anything, which I later found out was pretty mandatory across all other schools. So it left me feeling somewhat lost, transitioning or creating a business that was e-commerce, because everything is online and that was totally a brand new ballgame for me. So discovering Canva, there's even sections in there for you to find your logo. You can design a logo. You can then create a social media post. You can do everything there. So good. However, if you do not naturally have an eye for branding, if you are not naturally artistic, if color palettes and things like that don't, or do not come firsthand nature to you, I would encourage you, because branding is so important, to showcase your brand and to really, even if you are handmade, like all of my products are handmade, but they don't necessarily look handmade, right? You should definitely get some help. How you can find some help. So this is some cost. So free would be using Canva. Of course, make sure that your name is not taken. You need to search for your domain. So say Jane and Thunder was not taken anywhere. So I just literally went like Jane and Thunder in Google and nothing came up. Great. And then I was able to buy the domain. How you do that, it's really easy. You just go to GoDaddy. I think GoDaddy is one of the cheapest. And whoever you do your website through, you can also buy the domain through them too. But GoDaddy is usually like $1. If it's not, and that's like every year, like once a year, it like rescribes for like $1, which is great. So very, no brainer. And that's why you also want to buy too your brands. Like it's a good idea to buy the .com, of course, then .ca if it's not taken, since you're in Canada. And you can buy up the different domains if it is in fact that cheap. So I'd recommend doing that like right away, even if you're not planning on starting your website yet. You just don't want your name to get taken, because all the work that you are putting into your brand and branding yourself right now, you want to be able to hold on to that no matter how long it's going to take. Grace, of course, no matter how long it's going to take for you to actually start your own website. All right, so a little bit of cost. This is how I found my graphic designer. So as you can see, my Jane and Thunder logo on the high end. She's amazing. Oh my gosh, I love her. And I'm still so glad I went with her. She is so helpful. I use her all the time because technologically I need help still so many times. So some cost, I actually found her on Etsy. So Etsy is a place for hand makers. I'm sure everyone watching this has heard of Etsy or knows Etsy. So since she is the designer and makes things, she's also on Etsy, and you can buy her packages for branding. And I really loved what she did. I was actually looking for someone who could do watercolors. A lot of my labels have watercolors on them, and I just thought it was so pretty. And so she was able to take my drawings and turn them into real graphic designs. So you can find someone, or even if you're friends with a local designer. And there's even pre-made custom logos that you can buy for like $5. So if you feel like you need a little bit of help, and you don't want to do it completely by yourself on Canva, or you're just not quite finding the designs that you want, and if you have a vision for something, you can just even Google or put it in Etsy and search it for pre-made logos, and you will see, oh my goodness, a plethora of logos that are already pre-made, and you get to fill them in. So you can choose the color, the design is already there, you choose a design you like, and you guys got to just like start searching these if you haven't already, because it's super inspirational to be able to start dreaming about what your brands can look like. And it's quite cost effective. The only thing I would caution about it is, since they are for sale, these logos, there is a chance, however small chance, that someone has already bought this logo and is using it for their brand. So I have seen this a couple of times where someone has exactly the same logo, except for obviously their name is different, so it says something different. It would be like my Jane and Thunder logo. Since mine's custom, it's not like for sale, like we totally made it from scratch. But if someone had like Flower and Bloom, apothecary, and it looks exactly the same, except for it says Flower and Bloom, just with different words. So that is something you do have to consider. Of course, it could be within a different color. It might have flowers. Yours might have a deer. I don't know, something different. But keep that in mind for your brand. And you always can rebrand. If you want to start off doing something free, and then later, once you start having money set aside for your brand that you can put back in, you can always rebrand. So it's not really that big of a deal that you have to go big or go home at first. I am totally a big believer of starting small, giving yourself a lot of grace. And since we are moms, most of us, being able to take the time to really focus on what matters most. And it's okay to grow slow. Like, it's totally okay to grow slow. So then the high end, you can hire out graphic designers to do like everything from scratch. Some of those packages can be more costly, upwards into the thousands is quite normal. There's even branding firms. I'm totally going to shout out Brand Ambition, because they are local in Bowmanville and they are doing great work. So that would be like your one-stop shop if you want someone to design your website for you, put it up, really like everything. They can even take care of some of your like social media posting. So really, you can pay anyone to do about anything, but you really want to make sure that it looks professional, it looks sharp. Make sure that you're using the same fonts over and over. So I only use 3 different fonts within my brand, and you can look at my Jane and Thunder logo and you can see the cursive. So that has its own specific name. Then the apothecary is a different font, and then the words around, the like holistic, cruelty-free, natural, hypoallergenic, that is a different font. So throughout my branding and my labels, I make sure to use only those fonts to keep it cohesive and together. All right. So this is a fun little mission. Giving you freedom as a mom and skills to make your dreams happen. So I think the next section we're coming up to is, here's some fun vision. I'm actually going to check back in with you guys, see some of your comments. Hopefully we'll have some time for some questions too, if you guys have any questions. Courtney, do you have any advice on choosing your brand name? Something that is meaningful to you. I actually have like a PDF I can give you. I have like within the actual course, there's like a few PDFs and things. But really, so I'll tell you a quick little story about names. Jane and Thunder was something that just totally struck me, and it sat well with me, and I felt good about it. It made sense because it was mom and baby, it was meaningful, and it tells my story. Storytelling is one of the best ways to sell. So many times, like I could just share with you, for example, did you know that 1 in 10 adults has allergies? Okay, yeah, that's fun. But what if I tell you a story about how that personally affected my life, and then my baby's life, and then the story about people coming to my door, right? And then I share like the stat with you. Wow, that kind of has more of an impression. So if you're able to storytell with your name, great. If not, it's totally fine. What the heck is Coca-Cola? What's Nike? These are made up words, right? Or even the idea of branding a computer as Apple. They totally had to reteach the market what those things are and what they mean, and to totally associate a brand new thing, because obviously an apple is an apple. You want to eat an apple, it's a fruit. So to be able to teach through their branding that no, an apple is also a Macintosh, which is a computer. You can really do anything, and that's all part of your branding. So you can have like a really made up name that's, I mean, like what the heck is Coke, like cocaine. I think that's where it started, Coca-Cola, right? And you can teach people what you want it to mean. So when Jane and Thunder really struck me, I actually shared with a good friend at the time, and she was actually a graphic designer. She's lovely, super talented. And I was like, hey, like I love Jane and Thunder. She was like, you can't do that. And I was like, what? She's like, you cannot name your company, Jane and Thunder, I think that's a really bad idea. And it was coming from such a sweet, honest place, but it was also coming from her personal experience. And the reason why was, she's like, that's not fair to your other, like, to Titan, my other little boy. She's like, you can't have Elijah's name, his middle name, in your brand name. And then what if you have more children? Right? And she was like, honestly concerned. She's like, that's just not fair. And I'm like, well, Titan's going to get his own product line. Like, I'm going to give him Titan's blend. Like, it's going to be fine. And then I can't prepare if I have other children. Turns out Violet Jane is still in the name because her middle name's Jane. So it just all worked out. And so even though she like really shot it down, like that is a no. And she was an expert in like graphic design and branding and really talented. It just felt so good with me that I did it anyways. And I have not regretted it. Like, the brand name makes sense to me. People remember it. It's unique. People ask about it, you know, and then when I tell the story about it being part of our names, it makes it more memorable. So really, whatever sticks with you and whatever's not taken. And of course, that it's still, you can justify and make it make sense as long as your customers aren't confused, right? So something like Apple and computers, it's a little more confusing, but with their branding, they made it work. So I hope that, is that helpful? A little bit? Pretty much do what your heart says, girl. Unless it's taken, then you got to get creative. But I like your shop. I like that it's your last name. I like that there is family included with it. I think that's really sweet. So, okay. We are going to go back to sharing because what we are going to talk about next is money. Money. All right. Let me know in the comments if money scares you. And if talking about money makes you feel uncomfortable. And if selling to your friends and people you know, if you automatically just want to discount it. So, how to price. I'm just going to drink some water. This is such a unique topic. Because so many times when we talk about pricing, men aren't scared. It's only females. It is such a linear subject when it comes to pricing. It is so simple. It's literally just numbers, and you have to do the cost. You have to figure out your time. You have to know what it's costing you to make everything, and then you have to set a price. And there are formulas for that. So I'm going to tell you the formulas for pricing. There's a few different ones. And it's so, you know, like the numbers are what the numbers are. Like, there is no arguing it. It's just, this is my price and that's that. Except for when it comes to women. Us lovely ladies make numbers and money emotional. Do you ever feel bad when your friend asks how much it is? Are you automatically feeling guilt but you're my friend, so I'll actually give it to you for a different price? How about, I am guilty, like all the time. I do this all the time. I'm like, oh, my friend, yeah, here's a coupon code I just made for you. Like Courtney, talking to myself, Courtney here. They've already sold, like they're already sold. They already want it. Why are you offering them a discount when they are happy to support you and pay the price of what it is? Like, they're happy. They're totally happy. Do you guys resonate? Yeah. Right? Becca, right? Totally happy. So this is totally, like, it is a unique thing to women, and it could be more of a rare thing if men do go through that. But that's just kind of what I've noticed, psychology and pricing and money. Don't be apologetic for it, okay? We have to stop that. It's silly. When my friends have a price for their product, I personally am more than happy to pay it because I want to support them. And I'm sure you're the same way. When your friend has a business and they've started something and you want their product, you are so happy to be like, yes, take my money. You know, I want to give this to you. I want to support you. It doesn't really matter so much about the cost because you're supporting a friend. So don't do that to your friends when they're trying to support you. Okay? They want to support you. They want to buy from you. Don't apologize for the price. You don't need to. If you've done the math and you know what it's costing you and what it's costing you to run your business, I think, what is the statistic? It's awful, but it's something like only 30% of businesses make money. Like startup businesses period, only like 30% make money. That means that over 60%, yeah, over 60%, close to 70, don't make money. And that's really not okay. And I don't want that for any of you. If you're going to start something and build a brand, a baby, your brand baby, you don't want it to be a waste for you. And I don't want you to be apologizing for your prices when it doesn't make sense and you're undercutting yourself, and then you can't have a business to continue to sell things and to grow and all of that. Okay, so it is a really important topic, and it's a really important topic to kind of get over. You gotta get over it. Okay, so we are gonna go back to sharing the screen because here's some of the different ways that you can price. So I'm gonna share with you how I price and how that is. So since I sell things for wholesale, like for example, a local store, Petite Nordique, sells some of my products, which is fantastic. I have online places that sell my products, and whenever anyone inquires to be able to sell Jane and Thunder, I use the wholesale like method. So Jocelyn, if you want to build your brand and you want to start having it in other stores, for example, then you'll want to use this method as well so that you can. Okay, so the cost. This is just traditional. You can obviously do market pricing. We'll talk about those three, but this is traditional retail wholesale pricing. So 25% is what your cost is. So this means figure out how much it costs you to make each item. So I had to do this per product for me to figure out pricing. You need to calculate your time. You want to choose what you're going to pay yourself. So choose a wage, say you want to get, and you can obviously like play with the numbers to make it still fit right within the market as well. So say you want to get paid $20 an hour. Great. How many of your products can you produce within an hour? Yeah, how many can you produce? Now, how much does it cost you for all your materials? This includes the shipping that it costs for your materials to get to your house. It includes like all the taxes that you paid. If you have to drive to pick up materials, say it's not shipping, you have to include that in your cost, okay? So figure out everything in total. What does it truly cost you paying, per hour? How many items can you make within the hour? And how much product you use, calculate it. It's a lot of math, some more than others, depending on everything. Having a beauty brand, you have to calculate every single ingredient and to the exact measurement per product that it's in. So it can be a lot. If you are service-based and you're not selling an actual product, you'll want to go more so with market pricing, which we'll go over after this. But this is for like physical items that you can sell wholesale. Yeah. Okay, so that is your cost. The wholesale amount is going to be times 2. So it's going to be 50%. So you want to take your cost, double it by 2 so that you're making back everything that you've spent. Now you're going to make twice that. That's what you're going to sell it to the stores for. So for example, say we'll just use easy numbers. Say one body butter cost me $5 to make. I will sell it to a store for $10 per body butter. The retail price will be $20. So that way they are making 50%, they're actually making 100% back as well. A lot of handmade businesses don't like going into wholesale and retail markets because you do lose a lot of money, right? If someone is buying directly from my site, they are paying 100% the retail price. I am then making 75% of the profits because it only cost me 25% to make. Versus wholesale, you are only making 25%. Does that make sense to everybody? I hope so. So that's how you do that. However, when it comes to wholesale, you are selling bigger bulk items, so it's got to make it worth your time. So you can also put minimums down. So I will put, usually it's about $200 or $250 is like my minimum order. You have to buy bulk to be able to qualify for wholesale pricing. Okay. Now the next, let's see what the next slide is. Let's see. Because another way to price is market pricing. So this is what Apple does, for example. When you tally up all the costs, or electronics, they do like market pricing. If you were to actually calculate how much it costs to make a iPhone, it's like pennies on the dollar. It does not cost anything, hardly anything to make an iPhone. It is scrap pieces of metal. It's a little bit of glass. The actual technology is just, when you break it down, like the cost of the goods is tiny. And of course, when you're making it in China, they can whip these up so fast, you know, they're not paying living wages or anything close to what they're paying here. Super cheap. So what does Apple do? They go, well, we can't sell this at retail type pricing, wholesale pricing, because we'd literally be selling our phones for like $4, right? So they have to do market pricing. What are other cell phones on the market selling for? What are we offering that's more? What can we now make as the standard pricing, right? And because iPhone, when they came around, they were totally doing something new, that they were really able to saturate the market, right? And they're saying this is what like smartphones are going to cost. And they can, because they were the only ones doing it at the time, besides BlackBerry, but theirs was totally different. So they're like, we're going to hike it up because we're going to say what the market is, right? And so that would be for like service-based as well. You can also look, say if you are a photographer or a wedding photographer or an events planner, makeup artist, see what other people in the market in your region are charging, and then you can go from there. What our next topic is going to be is about your niches, because that's where you can also up your price more if you're offering a premium product, depending on what that is and your special niche. So for example, like my pricing, I truly do the like wholesale retail pricing. I do it like that. But I know because it's premium, because it's organic, yes, it costs more than non-organic. And because I'm in a niche category of allergen-free, I'm also able to kind of set the prices where I want them and where I'm comfortable. So a little bit higher than that, if that makes sense. All right, how's this making sense for everybody? Is this fun talking about money? So fun, pricing. Okay, so we're gonna go back and share. Yeah, so service-based, see what they're doing. And then here we go, let's go back to the screen. So this is kind of a really cool slide because women are starting more businesses. This is becoming far more common, where there is women entrepreneurs and even moms taking advantage and being, you know, struck with inspiration when they have children, finding that there's more needs for certain things. Okay, so last year, actually, I think this is from 2018. But this is how much money has been made by women-owned businesses and how many women started a business last year. This is how much just in the 1 year for women-owned businesses and like new businesses. So it grew up to 10% last year, and the gender gap actually shrunk. So there is a huge space right now for women, even just talking about equality with women in the workspace, but really kind of the small business movement and wanting to shop consciously and ethically ethically is huge. It's super trendy, and even being women-based markets is really trendy. So even something like using on Instagram, like there are so many different hashtags that include being girl boss, women-owned business, women supporting women. They recognize when you support women in business, that means that you are supporting children and families, and you are like literally putting food on the table. Okay, so that's kind of a neat place to be. Let's see. So we're going to talk about your niche market. So something to think about is if you're thinking about starting up a brand or you haven't yet, is I want you to think about who you want to sell to first. Because if you try to do it the other way and there's no one to sell to, so say you were creating something, I don't know, what's a good idea? Or a random idea. If you're just like, I really want to make, I don't know, it's so random. Okay, water bottle holders, because your hand gets too cold holding water bottles. And that really bothers you that your hand gets too cold. Well, first off, is there a market for that? Are other people feeling the same way? Like, don't be pushing your product and think that it's a good idea necessarily to start a product if there isn't a market for it. If people are fine holding cold water bottles and it's not an issue like it is hot beverages, you know, it might not be the best thing to start a business on. Think about your market. So when I was thinking about my market, I pretty much was thinking about, I guess, like moms and kids in the allergy world, right? Obviously, people who don't have allergies use my products and enjoy them and love them too, just for being like natural, vegan, organic, all those things, which really helps me to fall into other niches. You want to know what's going to make your brand stand apart. So what makes you different? What is so unique about your product that you can use as a selling tool? So for me, the biggest thing is I get to parade around and tell people, you know, that, hey, like our brand is something so different because it's the first allergen-free company. We're free of the top 10 allergens. And even if I'm telling someone who doesn't have allergies, they're just kind of like, wow, didn't know that that was an issue. Yes, it's actually 1 in 10 adults and 1 in 13 children. Like, it's massive, that market alone. So really focus on who you're selling to. Something that I'll also do is when I am designing a product, like I really like to design things that I like. But you know, sometimes the things that I like, it's not like the bestseller, like people aren't really loving it. So you really got to think, what does, so for me, my target market is totally the yuppie mom. My mom is 25 to 35. She is really health conscious. She is aware of what she's putting into her kids' mouths. She's probably really trying to buy organic things. She's going to shop at Whole Foods. She's going to love the convenience of Amazon and being able to get natural products there. She's going to probably make a lot of the meals by scratch. She's going to want to go to the gym. She's going to love drinking green juice smoothies. She's going to want avocados on her toast. You know, like, be specific about who you are selling to, because that is really going to help you. Even if you just like honestly pick the one person, your target market, like just create one person in your mind of who is your perfect customer and sell to that one person every time you are writing a post. Sell to that person every time you are writing the copy on your website. Like, sell to that person and tell that one person why they need your product and how it's going to help them, right? So with my product, it's going to help them. It's going to give them the peace of mind that the ingredients are good. It's going to be good for their kids, and they don't even have to worry about any allergic reactions. It is safe and effective. You're going to feel good about it. Okay, because the truth is that one person is actually a massive demographic. There are a lot of those people, that one person you were selling to. So I want you to think about, what is your niche? You can even right now write down. Oh, I meant to tell you to get a pen and paper at the beginning of this. Sorry. You can go ahead and write down, what are some things that make you unique, even if it's handmade, if it's that you're a woman in business, if it's that, you know, like you're a mom to littles, like all of these things, that you're local. Maybe you do supply like organic, like all of the things, write them down, because this is part of your niche. And then you have to stick to it. So an example of this is, because I said I'm a vegan company, I have to stick to it. There have been many times, this might upset some people, but I have been tempted to use, or would really love to use, honey in my products. I think honey is amazing for skincare. It is really healing. It would just be so great. However, because I'm a vegan company, some vegans do not use honey and do not like it. I can't. I have to stay consistent with my company ethics and the things that I have branded myself on. Even niche, being organic, sometimes I run out of ingredients that are organic and I can't get them. And I can easily get a non-organic substitute, but I can't, because I have told everyone that it's organic, it's in my branding, it's part of who my company is. So that just means that then I cannot make more product until it's back in, and I might lose out on sales, but at least I am staying consistent with my ethics and who I have said and branded my company to be. So that is super important. When you start that, you need to make sure that you are consistent. So find your niche. It's going to help you to be able to zone in more on who your market is, instead of just being for everybody. So here's another cute example. My mom today, she heard on the radio station she likes to listen to, and she's like, Courtney, you should really advertise Jane and Thunder on this local radio station. Like, I think it'd be great because I listen to it. And I'm like, oh, Mom, that's so sweet, you know, but honestly, I'm not marketing to grandmas and grandpas, because only grandmas and grandpas are really listening to that station. You know, I want the young moms, and they're on podcasts. They are not listening to the radio. And she was like, oh, wow, I didn't think of that. And I thought that was so sweet. And I'm like, yes, Mom, you're a grandma and you're listening to what you like. And I'm sorry, I'm not, that would be a bad use of advertising. I love her. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the 3 topics that we went over fairly quickly. But I wanted to see if you guys had any questions, or if you found that helpful, because we do have a little bit of time left. And I also wanted to let you know too, if you wanted to dive deeper into those 3 subjects, along with 7 other subjects, the Mom Boss course is on sale just for the month of May for $111. Normally it's $300, but it's on for $111. If you wanted to pick it up, it's go at your own pace. But I am totally here for any questions or anything that you guys have, so that I can answer it. Was that helpful at all? Were there some good nuggets for you? I hope so. Talking about specific niches, and finding your perfect customer vision. Yeah, I feel like talking about your perfect customer is something that can get lost, but when you have a clear vision of who they are, suddenly it makes more sense for what colors you're choosing in your branding. It makes more sense for what fonts you're going to use, even using a cursive. So for example, kids these days aren't learning how to read and write in cursive. So if anyone's under 25, they might not be able to read Jane and Thunder because it's in a cursive font, you know, and the other fonts. But I know that, you know, like my generation and my target market, they learned cursive. They can read it. It's not going to be an issue. But it's so important, right? So funny things like that. Even the language that you're using and the slang and the talk is going to be so important, how you articulate who you are selling to. Because obviously I think my posts would be very different if I was targeting my mom, or even like a teenager. I really wouldn't know how to talk if I were targeting a teenager. Be saying things I thought were cool that are not cool. No, I'd be really showing my age. All right, was there anything else? Any comments or questions? You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. This was so fun for me to be able to talk to friends. I know I didn't listen much. Sure was fun to talk to you. All right. I'll leave a couple more minutes in case there is a question. I just wanted to thank you guys. Oh, great, Becca. I hope so. Yeah, and please don't be a stranger too, because I love championing and cheering you on and what you're doing and sharing and knowing that you're local and we're in this together, right? And even depending on what your goals are. Whereabouts are you located? I am in Durham, and that's all I'm gonna say on the internet. Toronto, Greater Toronto area. Toronto. Great, I'm so glad. But anytime you, oh, awesome. Yeah, I think we're actually all in Durham. Who's on right now? Anytime you want to talk about any of this, I love it so much. So don't be a stranger to message me on either my personal Instagram. Obviously, Jocelyn, you know me in person, so you can just, shout at me. But all of this really, really gets me lit up on fire. And yeah, I just love being able to help any way I can because it's super fun. But thank you so much, ladies. I'm super proud of you for starting a business. And I hope that we can stay connected and chat about it and that this was helpful. I hope this was helpful. It was kind of short and sweet. Oh, and I wanted to say one more thing. Here, I'll actually stop recording now. Thanks everyone for tuning in.